Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um, my name is OTHMAN, and we are here to present to you about the question of explore how bilateral and multilateral agreement are creating emission-free shipping lanes and their impact on shipping network and logistics hub. So this is a group members who are about explaining about this question. And our leader is Aiman Farhan bin Ahmad. Also, we have Nur HANANI bin HUSSAIN and Othman Amin Othman. And today explanation, I will start introducing about this question. The main area or main thing that we are supposed to explain is about green corridor. Um, exactly, green corridor are special lanes that are agreed by members of country, whether two members or international members, to 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 pass through or to make voyage through using the green gas emission or the gas that are free from emission to the world. So let's discuss about this green corridor in maritime transport. Firstly, we're supposed to understand that maritime transport play a significant role in global transportation of goods. We can say that it is a backbone of the world business because about 80% of goods are transported using the sea. This is the approximation or report from IMO and UNCTAD, United Nations. Uh, I forget its explanation, but UNCTAD 2024 has explained like though. So even though this sector has most of significant role and play great role in transporting the good, but also it has their challenge. And the main challenge is the green gas emission, particularly carbon dioxide. This is due to the use of more fossil fuel energy during the sea voyage. So uh, the world has become with a new policy and new tactic of excluding and removing such gas. So they become with making new corridor that can decrease the emission of carbon dioxide in the world. So they become with two agreement, whether two countries can agree, maybe Singapore and Rotterdam can agree each other to use the green gas emission by making infrastructure, by making the lands, and by make all things that are considered an agreement between two countries to pass through that land. Also, there is multilateral agreement where international organizations such as IMO bring out the role policies about gas emission, and members country to ratify that role so that they can use around the world. That's in shortly the meaning of or introduction about green corridor. So um, this this improve infrastructure, bunkering station, safety, alternative fuel, and technological research about the green corridor. So those all are green corridor elements that we're supposed to discuss on this discussion. So I would like to send this opportunity to my fellows to explain more about this green corridor.
Alright, so can we proceed with the next slide? Next slide. Alright, so members of the hall. So next we will proceed with what are the literature review of this assignment. Okay, so in this literature review, we will identify what are among the key themes of the assignment itself. So this key theme is actually the main key point that we will be discussing regarding about the assignment. So for the first key theme is actually we are talking about a green corridors concept, where actually when we are talking about green corridor concept, we are referring to a strategic trade routes for decarbonization process to be deployed. And in order for us to have a green corridor concept to be implemented in the industry, so first thing first we need to have is the collaboration between the ports, the ship owners, and also with the fuel suppliers as well. And then this key insight is actually was supported as well by the COP26 climate bank declaration, where actually this kind of declaration is being implemented in order for the IMO to enforce the decarbonization initiative to be implemented throughout the world, and especially in the maritime logistic industry as well. And then in term the second key theme that we have identified is we want to create or establish an emission-free shipping lines, where actually IMO is suggesting for all parties that involved in shipping industry to implement a zero emission vessel, which is known as ZEV, that will be using a green hydrogen and e-ammonia. So when we are talking about e-ammonia, actually we are referring to a renewable ammonia production. So by using this kind of fuel, alternative fuel, we basically able to eliminate um, any unnecessary use of fuel. So and then hybrid propulsion also will be implemented in this kind of vessel, where actually we will use a hybrid propulsion, which will be using the main will be using the main wind, solar and stored battery. And then we will also implementing emission-free shipping line by using the digital optimization, where three elements that will be implemented, which is artificial intelligence, uh, IoT, which is referring to Internet of Things, and also predictive maintenance. Because why? By using the proper tool of digital optimization, we actually can do some predictive maintenance, where this predictive method will help us to overcome unnecessary spending, or expenditure that might evolve due to something that actually can be mitigated as early as possible, but due to some constraint and unforeseen challenges, then it causes us the cost to go up and rise and so on. And then for the next key theme, can we proceed with the next slide? Alright, for the third key theme is actually we are talking about the green logistic linkages. So when we are talking about green logistic linkages, it's basically we want to create an alignment of all the logistic party to align with the sustainability development goal, which is SDG. As everyone knows now, everyone is trying to aim for the SDG implementation, which is SDG is actually were created by United Nations in order for us to pursue the sustainability in 13 or 14 key themes that have been identified. Okay, which is for the green logistic linkages, we are referring to the climate action and innovation, which is SDG 4 and SDG 9. And then in order for us to create a green logistic linkages, we encourage people or all the parties that involve to collaborate and have a shared governance, where actually we will drive the digital transformation, where we will include the usage of blockchain and then IoT and also artificial intelligence. And then for the fourth theme, we are talking about the contribution to sustainability. As we all know, sustainability is something that everyone throughout the world is trying to achieve, where among the for us, away from the maritime logistics to contribute to sustainability is basically from us to potentially to cut carbon dioxide by 30 or 40% by 2030, which is roughly about 5 years more. Okay, and then this also will help our industry, which is marine logistics, and maritime sector or transportation to boost the port competitiveness and resilience, because what everyone who are involved in this sector will try to achieve this target before 2030. And then among the pilot program that have been implemented as we speak right now, we have Los Angeles and Shanghai trade routes, which is connecting from China to the United States, where in this route, where actually they're trying to implementing, okay, a lesser carbon dioxide emission from the logistics itself. For example, when they are loading off the goods from the ship to the port, they will not idling their ships. Instead, they will totally cut off the ships from running idling to avoid any unnecessary emission of carbon dioxide. And then for the second one, Singapore Rotterdam trade routes. For this one is a very good example, because why? Singapore is only our neighbor, a milestone away. So as you can see, actually Singapore is very congested port, okay, a very well-known port. So Singapore, they implement something between the Port of Singapore Authority and Rotterdam Port Authority, where they are trying to involve all the big players inside the maritime sector. For example, shipping liners, we have MERS, we have CMA, CGM, and we also have Hapag-Lloyd. So what they are trying to do is actually they were trying to use a newer generation of vessel, where actually it will using an alternative fuel such as biodiesel, and then biomass, hybrid using electrics and solar powered and hydrogen powered vessel. So this is among the example of the pilot program that currently, as we speak, have been taken into place and are waiting to be developed throughout the world. So for the next one, I will pass to our fellow group members, Miss Hanani.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. So I will continue for the second half of our assignment, that focusing on the green corridor in maritime transport. So first, for the case study, so I focus on the Singapore and Rotterdam green and digital shipping corridor. Yeah. Okay. So we will begin with a case study of a major green corridor initiative. So basically, the Singapore and Rotterdam green and digital shipping corridor. This is a pioneering bilateral initiative between two of the world's largest port, which is Singapore and Rotterdam, with a shared goal of to establish zero or near zero emission in maritime road by 2050. So this collaboration brings together key players in maritime industries, that including the port authorities, shipping line, and then other essential stakeholders to drive a sustainable transition in maritime sector. So this collaboration, the key focus on our initiative for Singapore and Rotterdam. So first initiative is the alternative fuel. So this is involve the developing supply chains and bunkering solution for future fuel like green methanol and ammonia. Sorry. So second, focus on the digital solution. This one, the corridor is implementing the digital platform to enable the just-in-time arrival, which is can help reduce the fuel consumption and optimize the efficiency. Next, we focus on the operational strategies, which is this is include for the promoting practice like slow steaming and integrated carbon capture. technologies on board vessel to further reduce the emissions. Okay, so for this project, we will focus significant challenges. For the first, we focus on the high cost and availability, which is the low carbon fuel are currently expensive. So the infrastructure to produce them is still under developed. Second, the challenges is the technical hurdle. This one, there's also challenges related to the safe handling and storage of this new fuel. And then the last one, challenges on regulatory gaps. This one, lack of universal global framework for carbon pricing that creates the market is uncertain. So, okay. So next, I will continue with the analysis of this study. So what the establish of green corridor in this project is having significant impact on global shipping network, and I will focus on the logistic hub. Okay, so first for the impact on shipping networks, the green corridor are crucial tools for accelerate decarbonization in the maritime industry. So they act as a test bed for a new technology and fuel, which help the de-risk the investment for carrier and supply and speed up the transition to the zero emission fuels. And then the numbers of the Green Corridor initiative, which is growing rapidly from 2034. The report found that the numbers of this initiative grew by the 40% in 2023. So with more than 16 global initiatives now in development lah. And then this one shows that the growing consensus that these routes are critical tool for achieving the decarbonization goals. So this corridor also foster greater collaboration and data sharing across the value chains. Okay, sorry. So this corridor also foster greater collaboration and data sharing across the value chain, which enable for initiative like just in time for the initiative arrival to improve the operational efficiency and reduce the emission. So as we look here, the challenges and future outlook for this impact. First, for the feasibility wall, which is the high cost of alternative fuel and the limitation bunkering and storage facility make it difficult to implement this corridor on the large scale. So these are also regulatory and policy bottlenecks. And then the lack of the universal global framework for the carbon pricing create the market uncertain. And this is a risk of a two-tier shipping system that where the developing national are left behind. So for the features, next for the impact on a logistic hub. So the green corridor are first we focus on transformation of port. So the green corridor are transforming port into the multimodal energy hubs. So they are moving beyond simple cargo handling to become the critical nodes in the green supply chains. So this one is required a significant overhaul of infrastructure for bunkering alternative fuel such as ammonia and methanol. All right. And then we have the end-to-end green supply chain. This one, the also extend inland, which is the port connecting to electrified rail and inland one-way network to create an end-to-end green supply chain. This one can reduce the last mile emission that cover for the overall carbon footprint and the freight transport. The last, the competitive landscape. Uh, this one, we also change the competitive landscape for the uh, port that invest early in the green infrastructure and digital solution will gain a significant competitive advantage. Um, for this, the hub that are slow to adapt risk being left behind as the industry move toward the zero emission routes. Alright, so next I will give to my colleague Aiman to continue for the challenges to green corridor.
Right, thank you, Ms. Hanani. So now we are going to see what are the among main barriers of implementation where it becomes main challenges for the party to evolve, to implement or to realization of the green corridors. So can we proceed with the next slide? Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Hanani.
Sorry, I already turned to the new slide. You can see Osman for the next class for the challenges to green
Alright.
corridor.
So maybe the line. Sorry for the technical
Yeah,
issues.
yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
So for the among the challenges in order for to implementing the green corridors, so for the first thing is due to the high cost of alternative fuels. So as we all know, the current fuel that have been used in the industry is already expensive, which is the conventional gasoline, for example. However, another alternative such as hydrogen, ammonia, and methanol remains expensive relatively compared to the conventional fuel. Because why? So far, there are very lack of government subsidies in order to support the implementation of using this alternative fuel. And this become a feasibility wall of implementation because right, some shipping liners feel that their effort to implementing the usage of alternative fuel is not being supported by the government because why the cost is too high. If the government providing assistance, for example, by providing them some subsidies in order for them to use this kind of alternative fuel, it will eventually support their operational costs and eventually will help to boost confidence of the players in the industry to use the alternative fuel due to the more lower cost, supported by the government by the provision of subsidies. And then for the second one is the infrastructure gaps. As we all know, when we are talking about the usage of green corridors, implementation of green corridors, we are talking about the usage of green energy, which is we require an infrastructure dedicated for that particular usage. However, in case of Malaysia itself, okay, we can see that actually limited bunkering and storage facilities becoming one of the issue that everyone can see clearly in the industry. Because right, when we are talking about port operation in Malaysia, we still rely on the conventional bunkering system where we pump the gasoline to be supplied to the ship, for example, and also from the raw water to be pumped inside the ship, and then we will pump out the sewage into our conventional sewage system. And this kind of bunkering infrastructure is still the same. We never invested in alternative bunkering infrastructure, for example. And then even some throughout the globally, only a few ports are equipped with a zero emission fuel. For example, most modern developing countries such as Malaysia, we still do not have port equipped with zero emission fuel such as ammonia pump and the methanol station and whatsoever. And then in terms of the technology maturity, as we all know that actually zero emission propulsion is still being in the phase of experimental, because why it's not being developed or being implemented throughout the whole nation, the whole country, sorry, the whole world. Because why, as we see now, the pilot program also is only being implemented in certain trade routes only. For example, as we, my groupmates and myself mentioned previously, only being implemented in Singapore and Rotterdam routes, for example, and then Shanghai to Los Angeles routes only. Right, so the scalability and the reliability concern is very high, because why people are still not confined enough in order to implement zero emission propulsion. And then for the next one, for the next slide, we are going to see the challenge number 4, which is the regulatory fragmentation, where actually the fragmentation in the regulatory is referring to a non-uniform standards in terms of safety, fuel and environment. Because why, when we are talking about regulatory, it is something that need to be followed. In other words, it is a standard for everyone in the industry to follow exactly 100% to comply with the standards that have been set. So in order for using a green corridors, we still do not have a uniform standard for safety, and then what are the kind of fuel that are allowed to be used when we are trying to implement a green corridors, and then what type of environment that are suitable for us to implement the green corridor, for example. And then the challenge number 5 is actually the equity and the capabilities itself, the gaps between these two things, which is most of the developing nation is underrepresented. For example, even we as Malaysian, and I believe in Tanzania as well, we do not really have a big role in terms of involvement within the IMO itself. So when we do not have a better involvement with the IMO itself, we actually are being underrepresented. And then it also poses another risk, which is a two-tier shipping system, where actually developing countries will have lower chances in terms of equity and capabilities to conduct the green corridors compared to a developed country already, such as we are comparing Malaysia and also United States of America, for example. Alright, and then the number 6, the sixth challenge is the social and operational issues, where the first thing first is usually seafarers will need to retraining in order for them to implement a green corridor. Because why? Green corridors and normal trade routes is actually very different. Because why? When different scenario requires you training for making you to become more adapt with the changes that might happen. And then the local community also might resist to the possible changes that might be happening inside the industry itself. And then for the next one, we are going to see among what are the strategic advantages, okay, where it will become an opportunity for us to implementing a green corridors. Alright, so there are few opportunities that we have identified in this assignment, which is the first one is the innovation and the technology itself, where actually it can become a good platform for testing a new ship design, and then the usage of new fuels and also the digital tools. And then when we are talking about digital tool, we are referring to no more hard copy documentation needed. We only submit it through the internet only. So there are no paper trail. And then we also have a real-time emission for monitoring and route optimization. And then for the second one, we will also help to assist the competitiveness between the port and logistics, where actually fast movers will gain a reputation and attract a green finance. Because why? Now, everyone is trying to pursue SDG mission in their operation, it will become an added value for for the investor to invest inside that particular company. So this will become an advantage for people to become more competitive in order for them to gain reputation and attract the investors to invest in their company. Because why? They are implementing a green corridors. When they are implementing green corridors, on the same time they are trying to fulfill the SDG mission itself. And this will become another element that help to future-proof the trade hub itself. And then we also have the shipping companies benefit, where actually it will reduce the exposure to carbon taxes and penalty, and then it will provide a competitive edge via zero emission fleets. And then also referring to when we are talking about long-term fuel contract, is actually will provide a cost stability for those who are involved in that particular areas or sector. So for the next one, opportunities number 4, we are referring to the fuel supply is growth. So when we are talking about the fuel supply growth, so actually we can see that a lot of corridors is actually will stimulate the demand aggregation, and then this will actually encourage a large scale production and also will eventually lead to a cost reduction. And then for the last one, the last opportunity that we have identified is the policy and governance opportunity. So as we all know, the green corridors is basically something new. So it can be a test bed for a scalable product global decarbonization policies. If we able to implement a green corridors, I believe that the same method or the same approach will be implemented and be used to another countries as a guide policies that can be implemented in their particular country. And then we also will see a PPP, which is known as a public-private partnership, will also become a part of the something that will derive the alignment of this opportunity as well. So I believe the next one I will pass to my fellow class group mate, which is Mr. Osman Amin Osman. Please welcome.
Okay. Let me proceed with future scenario. When we are talking about the future scenario, here we are talking about the scenario or the cases that has been researched or are predicted by most of international organization or researcher or any event about the green corridor. So on that scenario or on that prediction, they are predicting the best cases, moderate cases, and worst cases. Where best cases, this we term it as an important cases that or any significance of the green corridor toward the development in maritime transportation around the world. And moderate cases, it is neither best nor worst cases, but it is intermediary, whether it can provide the significant or sometimes can provide non-significant. And the worst cases, this is usually the cases that either undermine some organization or some stakeholders who are about using that green corridor or about using the reducing emission gases through the using green corridor or giving them the strength of using that green corridor. So as I have said, in future scenario, multiple cases arise that can be either best, moderate, or worst cases in developing project of or undermining it. So these scenarios are researched or predicted by international organizations such as AMO, as well as private sector forecast agreement, policy framework, and research studies. So let us start about the best cases. The best cases, it said widespread adopting a net zero shipping. So in these best cases, we have two element. We have more element, but we can discuss two elements that we can understand how it becomes the best case through this scenario. So firstly, the infrastructure everywhere. The issue of green corridor, which is agreed by multilateral and bilateral, why the infrastructures situation, meaning that in every developed country, the infrastructure of green corridor is obtained. It depends upon their policies. For example, the country like America and Los Angeles ports, also Los Angeles port, also Rotterdam, also in Singapore, all this country, the infrastructure is obtained. And also we have wider spread fleet transition. According to IMO, because IMO also among the international organization that they develop this policy of reducing low emission or by making green corridor, the aim or they predict that maybe after 2050, um, the whole world, the green emission will be decreased until zero emission through the using green corridor. I don't want to explain much about green corridor because my fellows have already explained it. So let me focus on moderate cases. So here in moderate cases, so we have limited the adoption to certain high traffic routes. This element can include like selective corridor. So yeah, the green corridor, it select the lanes. Most of congested ports are selected as a major hub that can use the green corridor or that can make the infrastructure of green corridor compared to most of ports which have not the best much congestion in their operation. Also, trade fragmentation. Nowadays, there are countries which are developing and undeveloped. So, because this uh, this project is not easy to do. It need money, it need time, it need everything. Thus, now the trade is fragmented because green corridor is very cheap after adopting it, after making the infrastructure, after making many processes. The implementation is very cheap. Cost is decreasing. So according to that explanation, it is going directly that the trade will be fragmented because other will get the services by the cheap cost through the using green corridor because even the fuel that are used, I mean green gases, is very cheap compared to fossil fuel gases or fossil fuel gases. Also, we have slow emission reduction. No, we still, even though the IMO and bilateral agreement are doing best practice of reducing this emission by making policies and doing this green corridor, but still there are a lot of ships that are not that are still using that are still using fossil fuel in its operation. Thus, even though IMO hope that the zero emission will be at 2050, but because of the most of please can you return it back? Yeah. Yeah, most of vessels are still using fossil fuel, which we can say the emission will not decrease as the IMO predict, but the emission will be reduced by the emission will increase. Also, we have hub connection. In the hub connection, small member of mega hub, including Rotterdam, Singapore, Los Angeles, and Shanghai, emerge primary mode of green shipping. Nowadays, these ports are doing best and have good flow in reducing the emission of carbon and becoming better example in green corridor. Also, we have worst cases. This is the cases that either can undermine or can give challenges the company or other stakeholders like ship owners and cargo owners to improve so that to increase development in maritime transportation. That's those cases. We have the first one. Project still due to the cost or political resistance. These cases are becoming through that main causes. So the first case is still the corridor development. As we know that developing corridor like this need money, also need political influence. Some country can reject doing or making infrastructure or adopting this scenario or this project of green corridor due to the political resistance. Let's say Russia and America. Russia believe that because they have many fuels, fossil fuel, believe that through the using fossil fuel they have, they can decrease cost in operating in maritime transportation. But America use green fuel in some ports and believe that through the using green gases, they reduce a lot of costs and reduce environmental destruction due to the using the fossil fuel. But because of political resistance or political issues, even stakeholders who want to engage in this project of reducing green emission we will not engage because of political resistance that two countries can have. Also, high project cost. This project is not easy as it is under as most of people believe, because it needs the connection between one country to another and agreement. Also, it need money for making infrastructure, even in the ship, for the ship owners and cargo owner. For the ship, in order to be installed as a green emission ship is supposed to be modified as a green emission ship, which it needs high cost to make this modification so that the development or the reduction of the exclusion of using a fossil fuel can be obtained or raised through that ship. So it is not easy as it is understood as the fossil fuel ship that we are using. We use it to see in the world. Also, we have social and environmental consequences. Yeah, this is hard because, uh, sorry, previous slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, social cases and environmental consequences. Yeah, there are some social cases that we can say some companies, especially small companies, believe that using the fossil fuel, it is understood and they know their cost, they know each and everything about using the fossil fuel in their in their uh, in their practice. Also, so even though the IMO believe that the reduction of low emission fuel through the using green corridor, but still people believe that the previous way that people are using is good and reducing the cost and reducing the many bottlenecks that can cause them to to the stoppage or any challenges to their transportation of goods. Also, another slide, please. Conclusion. Yeah, let's make conclusion. So bilateral and multilateral agreement are putting maritime transport in a good position by creating green shipping corridor and promoting the usage of cleaner fuels, digital system, and port upgrading. Major ports lead the transition, while smaller and developing ports risk exclusion without supporting mode and investment. Logistic hubs are evolving in integrated digital green ecosystem that adopt on AI, renewable energy, and intermodal connectivity to stay competitiveness. However, fragmentation remains risky as a developing region faces high cost, limited financing, and inadequate infrastructure. Without inclusive strategy and stronger mechanism for capacity building, the green transition could widen global trade inadequacies and reinforce existing imbalances in maritime network. So let's make our recommendation that we have made. So the recommendation are as follow. Another slide, please. Yeah, as we see, we have many recommendations, but we can explain these few in order that we can get even idea about what we have discussed. So, uh, strengthen multilateral government. Yeah, IMO should harmonize global carbon pricing and fuel standard to prevent fragmented regulation and encourage investment certainly. Thus, we can say IMO must force all member states or multilateral government to create room of penalty who can miss the use of renewable energy. Also, we have another recommendation is expand financing and mechanism. So this the project need money or need much fund so that either government or private private organization like World Bank should finance this project so that they can reduce the emission of green carbon dioxide gas uh, by giving money through for investing in this project. Also, promote inclusive corridor development. The corridors still few in the world nowadays because they are associated with developing ports and busy ports like Rotterdam Port, Singapore. We have in China we have a port also still using this corridor, but there are other Gulf like in Africa and South America, in other area of Europe, in South Asia, still the corridor are limited. There are few corridors. Thus, uh, international organization, I can say this IMO, supposed to make their policies and funds to promote the inclusive corridor to every area so that this practice can be practiced through many countries. Also, leverage public-private partnership. To develop this project, government and shipping companies should collaborate on multi-fuel bunkering facility, renewable energy hub, and digital tracking platform. This will strengthen the ability of agreement in international trading. The success of this project can be can benefit both private companies and government. Also, we have capacity building and technology transfer. This is the last thing, or finally, that also there should be given a knowledge. Each country, each country's private companies and other stakeholders have to be given the knowledge of avoiding this emission by thinking that making the zero emission in this maritime transport can be practiced. Thus, this will help other members to practice or to enter in the project of low emission through they're using the green corridor. And now we thank you. Let me send this opportunity to our group leader who can have maybe ideas and questions that we're also supposed to explain.
All right, thank you, Mr. Osman. So members of the group, is one question that we need to discuss before we adjourn our presentation for today. So I want to ask everyone opinion on what do you think about the implementation of the green corridors? Is it um, can be implemented or not? Is it making any sense, or what you can share with the members of the hall? What are your opinion regarding about the green corridors? Can we start with Ms. Hanani first?
All right. So for me, in my opinion, so for the corridor, so for the future of maritime logistics, we will define by on how successful we can overcome for these barriers, right? So for the green corridor, we can green corridor offer a clear and complete the pathway forward by fostering the innovation. And then we know that the green corridor can enhance the competitive competitiveness, and then the green corridor also provide um, platform to testing the scalable decarbonization policies. So for me, to fully realize on their potential for the green corridors, the we need the stronger uh, what we call multilateral governance. That one is for expanding the financial mechanism that can genuinely can for the capacities building effort to ensure that no one is left behind. And then for the green corridor, we can focus on the green transition, that the opportunity is not only to reduce our environmental footprint, also build a more efficient for the what we call global maritime network. Okay.
I see. All right. Thank you, Ms. Hanani. So next, Mr. Osman, what do you think about the green corridors implementation? What's your opinion?
Yes, for my opinion, I think nothing is impossible. It can be implemented, and it can be work very well. But the world supposed to understand that the new changes, the new costs. So because we want to enter into new project or into new generation of using the low emission gases, we're supposed to accept the cost. So the fluctuation of businesses, the fluctuation of transportation, and the fluctuation of many economics scenario will appear due to the using that because it needs money. So the strengthen will made in the project of low emission, thus all money, thus all costs will increase there. And as we understand that about 80% of goods are transported through the using of sea transport, I mean using vessel, and the vessel are the one who want that cost. So because of that cost, thus we say that even product price will be increasing. Thus, we can implement, but we have to be alert on the fluctuation of the businesses.
See. Good opinion, Mr. Osman. I actually kind of agree with you. Nothing is impossible, am I right? So, in my perspective, in terms of the implementation of green corridors, there are a few things that we need to make sure, because why, when we are talking about creating a greener world, every nation or every members of the state is actually have different capabilities in order for them to implement the changes or their the capacity to do the changes in terms of to make it more greener. For example, developed countries such as Singapore, or in another word, the first countries such as Singapore, United States, European such as Belgium, uh, France, and United Kingdom. Uh, in terms of reality, yes, they have the capability, the capacity to do changes. For example, they can came up with something and implement it directly, because why, they have the facility infrastructure. But in some nations such as Malaysia, Thailand, and then we also have another nation, for example, South America, they are not well developed as like other countries, so they have a different capabilities for them to to develop the proper infrastructure needed for the green corridors. So, in my opinion, actually, organizations such as IMO actually need to also give some assistance in order to make sure if they want to implement the green corridor, other nation also will be able to do it. Uh, Otherwise, if any issues such as the financial issue standing or whatsoever, it might hinders the development of these green corridors implementation as well. And then, in fact, even in the local governments, maybe among the Malaysian government, for example, can come up with any initiative that will help to boost, will help to facilitate the growth of green corridor as well. So I think that is from my opinion, right? So thank you everyone for your clear explanation and your sharing of opinion regarding about our topic for today. So I think that's all for today. Thank you and assalamualaikum everyone. See you all next time. Assalamualaikum.